Someone asked me about my journey with autoimmune disease, so I thought I'd hop on and explain a little bit about it because it is a little bit complex. So 5 years ago I went on holiday. When I came back, I'd been to Bali, had a nice time, got back home. A couple of days after I'd arrived, I was just knocked clean out by what I would describe as flu, but definitely not the flu you go to work with, right? It was can't get out of bed, like somebody had sucked the energy out of my body, turned my muscles to jelly. Everything was an effort, walking, breathing. It was horrific. Along with this flu came these intense sweat, fever, shaking, weird symptoms. So it would start at the same time every day. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, my temperature would drop to 35.8. And I couldn't get warm at all. I would have to lie in a bath with hot water. Then my temperature would go up to, so that's shaking, like hypothermic almost kind of symptoms they were quite short-lived, maybe half an hour. The fevers though, 39.9, 40-degree fever for 3 hours. So that was 2 o'clock till 6. Then it would go. I was still weak, still felt like crap. In between, 10 o'clock at night, it would start up again till 2 in the morning. I was sweating so much in my sleep that at my night clothes, I would wake up, my nightwear was soaking. My bed sheets were wringing wet. I ended up having to sleep on towels in bed. It was just bizarre. That lasted 10 days. In this period, I was to and from my doctor's. And she was like, oh God, yeah, you look sick. Like, she tested me for everything she could, liver, kidneys. All she could keep telling me was either my red or white blood cells were off, and I can't remember which, my red, I think. She tested for every single flu, hepatitis, and she's like, I don't know what else to test you for, Laura, and I don't know what to do. So 10 days after, then I started to feel a little bit better. I was like, oh my God. I mean, I still was not 100%. Went back to work. 3 weeks later, boom, it hits again. This exact cycle and the same symptoms. This time, I took myself to ED in Oz, so A&E back in England. And God, I remember the male doctor who I was literally hanging off the counter. I could barely breathe. And he's like, we don't give out pain medication here. I was so wounded by that because I thought, oh my God, he must think that I'm a druggie. And I had lost a significant amount of weight, which I should have added in. I went from around 59 kilos, so 9 stone 4, something like that, to 8 stone 2 or 52, 51 kilo. I looked awful, I will admit that and own that, but assumptions please, doctor. So went through, had a heap of bloods done, lots of questions. Then they came back after 2 hours. I'm still in a bed. I'm in the ED part. And he's like, this doctor, different one's like, oh God, yeah, look, you're really sick. So my CRP, which is an inflammatory marker, which should be 0, but no higher than 5, was at 150. My ESR, which should be below 20, was 86. Everything was off with my blood. I got admitted 2 days later to a ward for a full day where I had all kinds of bloods and different tests done. I was told that day, you've either got cancer or you have autoimmune disease. Now, I hadn't really heard of autoimmune disease. I knew somebody with lupus, but I hadn't like researched it or looked into it. Anyway, I'm just having to go every 2 weeks to see this infectious disease specialist. When I would leave him, I'd go to the hospital pathology, get a heap of bloods done to rule out all these different and rare cancers. And I think it took about 4 or 5 months of that before I was diagnosed with mixed connective tissue disease, and again, I'd never heard of it. So what it is 4 or more or less autoimmune diseases that attack your body. So where lupus is just lupus on its own, I have not full-blown lupus, but lupus will flare up in my body. I get arthritis, lupus and Sjogren's. I'm managed with Plaquenil. I tried sulfasalazine, had an allergic reaction, refused to go on methotrexate. So now I try and manage my health as well as I can, which is why and what I do for a living. I have had to cut a lot of food out of my diet. I've cut out alcohol. I exercise, which is something I never did before. And I'm mindful that when you're super sick, you can't do that. So when I'm well enough, I will exercise. So it's definitely been a process adapting and adjusting to this different way of living. I am now at peace with that, but God, it took a long time. I really resented having to stop eating certain things or drinking certain things. It felt like another form of punishment. I'm pleased to say I don't think that anymore. I really value my body, and I try, and I'm definitely not perfect because I'm a total sugar pig, actually, is a very good word to describe me, because I can never get enough sugar. So that's a work in progress too, but I'm really keen to hear on others' journeys. So maybe I should add, prior to this, around 20 years ago when I was 35, I was diagnosed with an enlarged heart, and it was idiopathic cardiomyopathy, which means they didn't know why I had an enlarged heart. The specialist suspects it was this flaring up then, and when I was early 20s, I was diagnosed with endometriosis too. So definitely my body was giving us signs, and maybe 5-6 years prior to this big flare up, I asked a doctor, do you think I could have lupus? Because I kept getting this rash. So I'd clearly heard about it from somebody, but I wasn't like obsessed with it. I hadn't really researched it a lot, because the doctor said, oh no, you haven't got lupus. Your rash isn't big enough or strong enough. You've got rosacea. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine then. I just took the doctor's word for it. So I am keen to know what other people's journeys have been with autoimmune. Did you get quick diagnosis? I think for mixed connective tissue, it's one of the harder ones to diagnose because it flares up and down, and excuses, I've got like such a dry throat. There's different presentations to it. Like some weeks my ankle will flare up, I can barely walk. Other weeks it's my throat, hence today. Other times it's my stomach or my bowel, or a rash all over my body, or it's like that feeling of flu where I've got no energy and everything just takes it out of us. It's really difficult to pinpoint it when you're going for tests, because unless it's flaring in that actual moment, nothing shows up in your bloods, as you will know if you've got autoimmune disease or you're looking at getting diagnosed. So keen to hear others' stories, and I'm so sorry that it's been such a long video, because how do you explain this in like a couple of minutes? I could go on and on, but I'll shut up now. So yeah, looking forward to hear from other people, and feel free to ask questions if you have any.